Like many others, I was mixed on House of the Dragon Season 2. There are many things I liked, and things I didn't like, and I definitely didn't enjoy Season 2 compared to Season 1. And while I don't like to be that person who actually talks shit about the decisions of the writers, I just can't keep quiet about how much I hate Nettles being written out of the story and having her plot being given to Rhena. To start with, who is Nettles? In Fire and Blood, Nettles was a bastard of uncertain birth who grew up homeless in Spicetown, on the island of Driftmark. In 129 AC, during the sowing of the seeds, Nettles, along with countless others, answered Prince Jacaerys Valerian's call, and she was able to claim the dragon sheep stealer by bringing the dragon freshly slaughtered sheep each and every morning, until the dragon became familiar and started to like her. So she became one of the 4 dragon seeds to bond with dragons and join Team Black. Now, why am I so upset by Nettles being cut? In Fire and Blood, Nettles is described as a small, skinny brown girl with black hair and brown eyes. She had crooked teeth and a scarred nose. And according to Archmaester Gladen, she could not be called pretty. Nettles was also foul-mouthed, filthy, and fearless. The first reason why I'm so upset by Nettles being cut is because of the discrimination that plays into her story. Not only was she a bastard of uncertain origins, her mother was said to be a whore, she was a woman, and a woman with no discernible Valyrian features. Because of these factors, Nettles was never truly accepted, even after she rose to the highest station possible by becoming a dragon rider. The Dragon Seeds were promised riches and titles. Nettles fought and killed in the Battle of the Gullet, just like the other bastards. She did what was asked of her, as she flew across Westeros with Daemon hunting down Aemon and Vhagar. But we only get mentions of the knighthood and titles that were given to Hugh and Ulf, of the legitimization that were given to Adam and Alan, with Adam being made heir to Driftmark. Yet we hear nothing of what was given to Nettles, the only woman of the group. We only know that she was given gifts and rewards from Daemon due to his fondness for her. Her story then escalates to a full-on witch hunt, full of racist and sexist arguments against her, causing Nettles to run and flee in order to survive. Now, do you see why Nettles' story doesn't work if given to Rhena? A girl who grew up in privilege and opulence, whose identity was never questioned and did not have to go through any of the same struggles or problems. I'm a person who did not mind that the Valyrians were made black in the show as opposed to white in Fire and Blood, but it seems strange to erase the only canonical black character in the entirety of the dance, and then give parts of her storyline to someone else. It also comes across that the writers believe that black characters are all interchangeable with each other. Now, I know people say that Rhena was a non-character in the books, that she didn't do much in the Dance of the Dragons. And that's true, she didn't. But the writers could have done so much more to expand Rhena's character, like giving her a storyline instead of having her standing in the background only speaking once per episode. That's if she was not cut out of the episode entirely. Characters like Loras Strong, Hugh Hammer, Ulf White, Adam and Alan of Hull, Viserys, Aegon, Criston, they were all characters who lacked nuance in Fire and Blood, whose motivations, characters were not well known to us, and who were not all that engaging, and were just plot points instead of actual people. But the show changed that. They expanded what little we already knew of them from the books and made them feel like real people. So why couldn't Rhena, and to a lesser extent Baela, be given the same grace instead of being relegated to background characters? And in Fire and Blood, Rhena does have an important role because instead of possibly claiming Sheep Stealer, she hatches a dragon egg of her own that was given to her by Rhaenyra that grows into the dragon Morning. During the dance, after Rhaenyra dies, the Greens fear Rhena because her dragon is the last dragon that's left alive. Not only is Morning the last dragon of the dance, she is also the last dragon that is ever hatched until Daenerys does so almost 200 years later. So I think you can understand why the phrase Fire and Blood is not a reliable source and the show is the true version of events pisses me off. It's just the laziest excuse for when the show introduces something that's wildly different from the books and to excuse stupid choices. There is no way you could interpret Nettles and Rhena being the same person, especially where Fire and Blood leaves off both Nettles and Rhaena's stories. Rhena goes on to marry twice, first to Corwin Corbray, then to Gormund Hightower, the third son of Ormond Hightower, aka Otto's nephew. And I know damn well that Daemon was rolling in his grave after that happened. And in Fire and Blood, it's last recorded that the two of them are living on Dragonstone with their 6 daughters in 139 AC. Nettles, after having run away, flew to the mountains of the Vale. When Aegon II retook the Iron Throne, there were reports that Sheepstealer had been seen at Crackclaw Point and the Mountains of the Moon. And by 134 AC, during the reign of Aegon III, a ragged Nettles was found by a royal army in a cave. A fight then ensued. 16 were killed and 3 scores were injured before Nettles and Sheepstealer flew off deeper into the mountains. No more sightings of Nettles and Sheepstealer were ever recorded again in the chronicles of Westeros, but the mountain clans of the Vale in present day tell stories of a fire witch who once lived in a hidden valley in the mountains. And there is a clan called the Burned Ones, the clansmen that Tyrion later joins in A Game of Thrones, who worshipped this fire witch, giving her gifts and creating a test where boys could only become men by facing the witch and her dragon, and then returning alive with burns. This led to the burned men's tradition of youths giving some parts of their body to the fire in order to prove their courage. So you can see why Rhena can't be Nettles or vice versa. And another thing about Nettles that can't be translated to Rhena is Nettles' relationship with Daemon. As I said earlier, Daemon Targaryen was fond of Nettles. Very fond of Nettles. People are split on this, on what is the truth, but a good number of people, both in universe and in real life, believe that Nettles and Daemon were lovers. This ties into the same theory/belief that Nettles is not Valyrian. Nettles claims Sheepstealer not by running up to them and commanding them, but by stopping by every day with sheep until Sheepstealer took to her. This, coupled with having no Valyrian features, led to the accusation of her being a witch, who not only stole Sheepstealer, but used her magic to bewitch Daemon and lead him astray. And Rhaenyra believes this rumor enough to order Nettles' execution. It's the reason why Nettles fled and why the Blacks lost Sheepstealer. I mean, I know the Targaryens marry their brothers, uncles, sisters, cousins, aunts, but we have never heard any stories of Targaryens marrying or sleeping with their children. Like, we all make jokes about the Targaryens being incestuous and freaky, but I think we all like to hope that they're not that incestuous and freaky. Although, I suppose this could be avoided if you subscribe to the other belief/rumor that not only is Nettles Valyrian, but she's Daemon's bastard daughter. It is quoted that Daemon doted on Nettles, as a man might dote on his daughter, showing that Daemon taught Nettles common courtesies and gave her fine gifts such as an ivory hairbrush, a silver looking-glass, a velvet and satin cloak, and leather riding boots. But it was also reported that Daemon showed Nettles how to wash herself properly, and that the maid servants reported that they often shared a single bathtub, washing each other. Nettles is also important because she reveals darker aspects to Rhaenyra's character. During the Dance of the Dragons, Rhaenyra started to, lose her grip on reality, so to speak. The loss of her sons and daughter had hardened her. And this only worsened when 2 of her dragon seeds, Ulf and Hugh, turned traitor and joined the Greens, causing Rhaenyra to lose her trust in her remaining dragon seeds. So she ordered Adam Valerian, the rider of Sea Smoke, to be sharply questioned to learn of his true loyalties. And for Nettles, this is what was described to have happened. "She is a common thing, with the stink of sorcery upon her," the queen declared. "My prince would ne'er lay with such a lowly creature. You only need to look at her to know she has no drop of dragon's blood in her. It was with spells that she bound a dragon to her, and she has done the same with my lord husband. So long as he was in the girl's thrall, Prince Daemon could not be relied upon," her grace went on. "Therefore, let a command be sent at once to Maidenpool, but only for the eyes of Lord Mouton. Let him take her at a table or a bed and strike her head off. Only then shall my prince be freed." Not only is Rhaenyra's actions towards Nettles meant to highlight things like her anger, ruthlessness, impulsiveness, bigotry, and newfound paranoia, but it's meant to show off her hypocrisy. As you no doubt realized, Rhaenyra mentioned how one only needs to take a look at Nettles to know she is not a Valyrian. And she says this brazenly, pushing past the fact that her 3 eldest sons bared no resemblance to their supposed father, Laenor Velaryon, and then little resemblance to herself. Nettles, black hair, brown eyes, brown skin. Jace, Luke, and Joff, brown hair, brown eyes, pug noses, and pale skin.
account of this. Say it. Her children are bastards!
In the books, it's more of a speculation that Harwin Strong is the boys' father, rather than in the show that makes it an outright fact. This is because the Valyrians are white, and Princess Rhaenys, Laenor's mother, has black hair from her own Baratheon mother. There is also an argument to be made that the boys could have gotten their looks from their great-grandfather Roderick Arryn, Aemma Arryn's father. His appearance was only given at the age of 36, where he was described as balding with a kettle belly. We don't know what is his hair color or his eye color. Regardless, Rhaenyra's sons did not look like the typical Targaryen or Valyrian. There were undoubtedly plenty who said you only need to take one look at Jace, Luke, and Joff to know that Harwin Strong is their father, and yet she also does the same to Nettles.
It was my sons who were attacked and forced to defend themselves. Vile insults were levied against them.
What insults?
The legitimacy of my son's birth was put loudly to question.
What?
Called us bastards.
The Valyrians of Old Valyria were obsessed with blood purity. It was why they married siblings, or members of their own family. Yes, this was to keep dragons in their family and retain the ability to bond with dragons, but because they also believed themselves to be superior to everyone else. And this belief was definitely passed on to their descendants. The right to rule, the right to conquest, the doctrine of exceptionalism, the blood of the dragon, all things that Targaryens have used to exert their control over Westeros, to show themselves as better. And this emerges in Rhaenyra in her treatment of the dragon seeds, specifically Nettles. Even though the only thing that her three eldest sons have over Nettles is that Rhaenyra gave birth to them, so that they were witnesses to their birth. While you could speculate on who their father was, you cannot speculate that they had a Targaryen mother. It shows the inherent racism and classism that exist in Westerosi and Valyrian cultures. This could still work if Nettles was not merged with Rhena in the show. The racism angle could still work even with the Valyrians being black, as Nettles could be accused of having dirty blood or faking her purity. Especially, as I said before, Nettles' origins are uncertain. She, more so than the other dragon seeds, acts as a crisis of confidence for the Targaryens. People revere the Targaryens because of their dragons, so Nettles looking like a normal person could make it so that anyone, regardless of blood, could claim a dragon. Nettles could have been a potentially refreshing character in the show, especially if the writers gave her the same treatment as the other dragon seeds. A bold, daring, and compassionate woman who was seemingly unspecial, proving herself through sheer force of will amongst the entitled and spoiled nobles, rising up to the highest position possible, only to have those same obstacles that were used against her, leading to her having to flee.